So, yeah, the USAID has been in the news a lot thanks to Elon Musk's Doge and the commitment to attack government bureaucracy. And starting with this, it's funny. It's funny how the worst of it is always named the best. USAID. It just sounds so nice. But when you see all the bullshit that these guys are up to, and the corruption, and just just the level of garbage spending that's going on, it's quite concerning. I'm going to read this article. This is AP News. It's going to be, of course, every article you find about USAID is going to be leaned towards how good of an organization is, how much they're going to hurt from all these cuts, and it's an overall attack against USAID. What they'll always say is USAID because that just sounds worse, right? Instead of USAID, because it stands for U.S. Agency for International Development. So it's not like they're aiding people necessarily. It's like we're just giving a bunch of food. They're also helping to try and steer those places in the way that they want them to. And you'll see that by a lot of the spending. You're going to see when I go through the list of some of the weird spending, there's a lot of stuff in there that's Western ideas that they're trying to push over in different countries. So here goes. Here's this article. So it's from fighting disease to protecting the Amazon rainforest, USAID has big impact across the globe. Just in the title alone tells you right there what they think. The Trump administration's decision to close the U.S. Agency for International Development has drawn widespread criticism from congressional Democrats and raised questions and concern about the influence billionaire ally Elon Musk wields over the federal government. The United States is by far the world's largest source of foreign assistance, although several European countries allocate a much bigger share of their budgets to aid. USAID funds projects in some 120 countries aimed at fighting epidemics, educating children, providing clean water, and supporting other areas of development. Well, they do say aimed. They aim at that. They might miss a lot and, and hit other targets that they're not going to tell you about, but let's carry on. The stop work order has amended many of those projects and has seen nurses laid off and clinics closed in more than 25 countries where 2/3 of all child deaths occur globally, said blah, 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 policy fellow and deputy director of global health policy. Geez, that's a mouthful. At the Center for Global Development. Here's a look at USAID's impact around the world. Protecting the Amazon rainforest and fighting cocaine in South America. I'm not going to get into that. The agency transferred some $45 million to the UN Food World Program, mostly to assist Venezuelans. What else are they saying? Disease response or girls' education and free school lunches in Africa. Last year, the U.S. gave the sub-Saharan region more than $6.5 billion in humanitarian assistance. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, I'm not donating. Countering Russian influence. USAID supports governance and media projects in countries where Russia exerts a large influence, such as Georgia and Armenia. Last year, it sharpened increased support for programs in Armenia as the government of Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has sought to reduce links with Russia and strengthen ties with the United States and the European Union. Okay. Hospitals in war-ravaged Syria. This one. Okay. I can't even read this with a straight face. If you know anything about Syria, you'll know that it's kind of like, it likens to me like the guy who went and punched you in the face and broke your nose is the guy bandaging you. It's just silly to me. I'm not even gonna read that one. That one, I can't do that one with a straight face. Support for marginalized communities from the Balkans to Uganda. Support for media in Myanmar and mine clearance in Cambodia. That's so the kids can get in those mines, right? They want to make sure those mines are clear. So you don't have to clear them very much. You just have to kind of clear them slow, right? So the kids can just duck and get in there. That's what they're doing over there. Wartime help in Ukraine. That's all they're going to say here. Okay. Garbage article. Now let's just see what's some of the stuff that they're actually spending on. Here's a nice little list. This is Mark Buffington, who is, he is the CEO of BIP Capital, a managing partner of BIP Ventures. So posted this on X, I went and vetted some of it. I can't vet all of it, but I vetted probably 75% of it. Seems to be legit. Obviously, some of this is going to be a little bit of hyperbole, and I'll get into that a little bit more as I go through the lists. Here we go. 1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. True. 70,000 for the production of a DEI musical in Ireland. Couldn't really confirm that one exactly. The money, who knows? But whatever. That's kind of a drop in the bucket. What's 70,000 amongst friends? It's fine. 2.5 million for electric vehicles in Vietnam. 47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. Now, just a little bit of extra money there for that. Again, what's 47,000 amongst friends? 32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. Nice. A little bit of a theme there. 2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala, because they need that. That's, they're very concerned over there about LGBT activism. So it's a good thing they're putting some money over there into that. 6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. There's one of the hyperbole ones. That's not exactly true. That's a very oversimplification of what that money is going to, but still, whatever. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for a nonprofit linked to designated terrorist organizations, even after investigation was launched. I don't know about that. That's kind of vague too. 2 million plus to EcoHealth Alliance involved in research at the Wuhan lab. Yep. Hundreds of thousands of meals that went to Al-Qaeda affiliated fighters in Syria. Again, the whole Syria thing's weird. Funding to print personalized contraceptives, birth control devices in developing countries. You got to realize that a lot of those developing countries don't really believe in birth control, but because it's kind of against their religion. But okay, let's carry on. 16.8 million to support equitable outcomes in inclusion in Vietnam. 8.3 million for equity, inclusion, education. Nice. Okay. 7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gender language. Oh, we're getting in some good money here, though. It's nice to see that they're spending good money on stuff like this. 6.3 million to study men having sex with other men in South Africa. This one just feels like a bunch of creeps wanting to watch. They're like, pay for my trip, go over there and watch a bunch of guys have bum sex. But whatever. 20 million for producing an Iraqi version of Sesame Street. 520 million for ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance consultants in Africa. That one's crazy because that one's convoluted. Nobody knows exactly what that number is, I don't think. But I think they're putting a bunch of shit into that one as well. 45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma. 2 million for Moroccan pottery classes. 2 million promoting tourism in Lebanon. Sent Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. Specific amount not specified but highlighted for criticism. 200 million plus of dollars to fund irrigation for the Taliban's poppy fields, which is nice. I mean, you want to make sure that that opium gets the water that it needs. So we're happy to help. 50 million for condoms in Gaza. This is another one, a little bit of hyperbole there. That's not exactly 50 million in condoms. Obviously, it's that's basically like a pharma, whatever you'd call it, a pharma package. That would include all kinds of stuff in that, not just condoms. But anyways, 30 million for South African HIV/AIDS programs criticized for misuse or inefficiency, and 25 million for green transportation projects in Georgia. Mocked for suggestion Georgia needs Teslas. Okay, so that's just some of them. Okay, that's what this guy put a list together. And like I said, I vetted a lot of it, and it's pretty easy to vet. You just Google it and you can find other news stories that'll talk about it. You got to do a little digging sometimes, but yeah, it's I don't think they're actually really arguing the fact that they're spending this money on that. They're kind of just trying to justify why they're spending that kind of money in these foreign countries and such, and they're trying to attach it to the idea that the USAID does all this great work as far as humanitarian work, making sure that the hungry are getting fed, that the thirsty are getting water, and that there's that money is going for other aid for vaccines and things like that. So it's it's just, come on, it's just comical. And then if you look at the rest of what's going on, where they're finding out that the USAID is actually spending money on excuse me, on memberships to like Politico and different media media outlets, it's showing that they're trying to also push the propaganda of the USAID. So the whole thing's corrupt. And while I agree that it should be reformed, I'm not 100% sure that it should be shut down completely. Obviously, I think they do some good things, but it's just silly to me that that the same people that were calling for defunding the police are the same ones that are saying to not doing to leave the USAID alone. Those same people that are calling for that should be the same ones saying defund the USAID and reform it. But again, they're not going to say that because that's not the liberal talking points or the left talking points. I won't say liberal because I don't think it's a liberal and Republican thing. I think it's a progressive leftist thing, and I think it's more of a propaganda that's swallowed by these progressives. Sorry, but yeah. Anyways, pretty garbage stuff for this USAID.